The countdown is on, but you're not alone. This is Countdown to College, your weekly guide from Education Quest Foundation, here to help you plan, apply, and pay for college one step at a time. I'm your host, Gage, and today I am happy to be joined by Kristin Ageton, Director of College Access here at Education Quest. Hi, Kristin. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Hi, Gage. Happy to be here.
So today, Kristin and I are going to be exploring how, every dollar from birthday gifts to Christmas and holiday presents, or even part-time paychecks can help students save smart and plan ahead for college. So Kristin, let's just dive in. Why is it so important for families and students to start saving for college early, even if it's just a little bit at a time?
Sure. Well, really the earlier that you begin planning, the more savings opportunities a student is likely to have access to by the time those college applications roll around. I mean, think about it. $5 a day leads to $35 a week, and $35 a week can lead to $140 a month. And Gage, did you know if you saved $140 a month, you would have almost $1,700 after 1 year?
Hey, okay. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to think. I'm not very much of like a math person or anything, or a numbers person. And so whenever someone's like, if you just save $5 a day, it'll add up fast. I didn't believe it until I saw it.
So you need to stop buying the fancy coffees, Gage. They really add up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Kristin, when we're talking about, it's the holiday season right now, or if someone has a birthday, when students receive, cash for birthdays or holidays or even graduation, how can they decide what portion of that makes sense to save for future education costs?
Unfortunately, there really isn't a one-size-fits-all answer to this, but there are some college savings calculators just available to help you determine what might make sense to save. You can just web search for them. But if you are looking for a fast and easy answer, student loan lender Sallie Mae actually does a biannual survey, and it has consistently shown that many American families cover about half of their students' college costs. And about 25% is scholarships and grants, and another 25% is borrowed in student loans. So in this case, based on what other families are saying, they're needing to pay at least half of what it would cost for their child to go to college. So I'd recommend families look up the total cost of the college they think their student might attend. And that includes tuition, books, and room and board if they'll live on campus, and then really just start saving as much as you can. I don't know that you'll get to half of that, but again, anything can really help.
Yeah, there's so much you don't even think about too that you'll have to pay for once you get to college. I mean, some dorms have free laundry, but some dorms you have to pay for it. There's so much that goes into it.
Right. And oftentimes I think families just see the cost of tuition and they don't realize you're going to have this room and board cost if you want to live on campus, or if you need to live in an apartment off campus, which is why we're also seeing a lot of families where students are choosing to live at home. Maybe not every year of college, but some of the years, just to make it way more affordable.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about saving money, what are some smart and simple options for saving that cash for college? And how does something like a 529 college savings plan fit into that picture?
Sure. You can certainly use a bank savings account, and a high yield account is even better. But there are other accounts out there that can help you earn a little bit more while you're saving. So there are education savings accounts, which work a lot like a Roth IRA, and UTMA or UTMA or UGMA, UGMA accounts. And you can look those up and see if they're right for you. But I am partial to a 529 college savings account. And these are investment accounts where you can choose the amount of risk that you want your funds to experience.
Yeah, we talk a lot about 529 plans here. So let's just dive into that a little bit more. What is Nebraska's 529 plan called? Because every state has their own system. And where can families find reliable information about how it works?
Sure. Well, each state treasurer's office provides their own 529 plan. Here in Nebraska, we call it the NEST plan, which stands for Nebraska Educational Savings Trust. And you can use 529 funds for tuition, books and supplies, room and board, those things we were talking about. And the nice thing is, if you don't use all the funds in the account for the intended student, you can always change the name to another child, another student. Or you can take a non-qualified withdrawal or take the money out for something other than college. You'll pay a little penalty, but I don't think it's an overwhelming amount. I think it's honestly just the fact that you have an investment makes a big difference. Here in Nebraska, you can read way more information about it and set up an account on their website. It's nest529.com.
I'll make sure I put that in the description of this podcast too.
Thanks.
And I had a hard time remembering it until you mentioned to me one time that it's almost like Nest 529, like a nest egg almost.
Yes. Yes,
Nest egg
that's
of
a great
saving.
way to describe it. Yes, you're going to just put a little bit away for another time. Mm-hmm.
Now, when we're talking about, I know you mentioned just a traditional savings account too. What are some of the biggest advantages of using a 529 plan compared to just that basic, traditional savings account?
Sure. Well, like I said, a 529 plan is an investment account. So when you put your money in, you get to choose the funds that you potentially have the opportunity to earn greater dollars on. And there are also tax benefits. Nebraska residents actually get a deduction on their state income taxes with the funds that they add to a Nest 529 plan. And I really love that they do not require a minimum deposit. So anytime you could put $1 in, and you can really invest when it works best for you. Although I do highly recommend a monthly deposit, set it and forget it is my mantra, right? That way I won't forget and I keep putting money in. We actually have a 529 account for our kids, and I got some great advice when my son was really little. They said, when you stop paying daycare, start putting money into a 529 account.
Yeah.
So if there are any listeners that know some younger families in their life, give them this advice. It really, it's really not as big of a deal. And to be clear, I didn't put a whole daycare amount into my 529 account, but even just a little bit helps. Mm-hmm.
And I know tax deductions won't mean a whole lot to some of our students listening yet. You'll learn about taxes in the future. Don't worry.
Right,
but for the parents listening, we love a tax deduction.
We do. And your parents will be very grateful for it. But, honestly, Gage, I would just go back to the idea that the funds are invested. You get to choose how risky you want the funds to be, whether you're really aggressive, you want this opportunity to maybe grow. I mean, there are some accounts in the Nest 529 where you can grow like 20, you have the opportunity to grow 20% rate of return. I mean, it's real risky, right? It's still an investment account. You could lose the dollars. Or if you don't want to be that aggressive, earning 2-3%, that is way more than what the average bank savings account is paying out in interest. So even investing at a very moderate or risk-averse percentage is earning you more money than a bank savings account.
Yeah, nest529.com too has lots of helpful resources and guides and all that sort of thing if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty with it. But
absolutely. It's honestly, it's helpful if you're not a strong investor. They give a lot of guidance along the way.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kristin, college costs can vary a lot. So what should students know about the differences between, community colleges, public universities, and then private institutions?
Sure. Well, community colleges are the most affordable option for students, followed by our four-year public universities because of the state funding that they receive. But don't count out a four-year private college because these institutions often offer generous financial aid packages. Really, bottom line is figure out which colleges offer your desired career path and then explore what they may offer in financial aid. When I was a high school student, I applied to a four-year public and four-year private college. And by the time financial aid packages were over, it was going to be the same cost for me at both institutions. So I really had my choice of which place I wanted to go.
Yeah, that's great. We'll do a future episode all about comparing financial aid offers. So stay tuned for that because it really is kind of crazy sometimes when you lay out the numbers and the aid you get and the tuition cost. It can kind of surprise you sometimes. So keep your options open.
Love it.
Now, once a student begins thinking about paying for college, how can they start creating a budget? I know that word kind of scares some people sometimes. So, and what key expenses should they include in that?
A budget can be scary. And when you hear that word, I have to just take a breath and remember, budgets, they work off of income and expenses, right? So what money's coming in and then what needs to leave. So you really want to start by identifying your income. Do you get pay from a part-time job? Are you going to have scholarships or grants, student loans? Will you have financial support from your family? So figure out what is all the money that's coming in. And then next, you're going to want to identify your expenses. There are fixed expenses and variable. So fixed are the amounts that won't change. You are going to know how much tuition costs. You're going to know how much room and board is. Maybe you've got a monthly phone bill. Those won't change. But then the second part, those variable costs, those things that might change or be different amounts each month, that might look like groceries, right? Or how much your books might cost each semester. I always find students are really shocked in August and January because they've got to buy books for a new semester. Make sure to put that in. Prepare. Mm-hmm.
And Kristen, what do you use to budget? Do you use Google Sheets? Are you paper and pencil? What's your method?
We are definitely a Google Sheets. We use, before that, Gage, there used to be this thing called Excel. No, people use that too. But yeah, we're an Excel family. So we absolutely put in our income. Here's how much is coming in and what will go out every month. And I got to tell you, at first it was it was hard. And it was a lot of work just to set it up. But we got to a place where we ended up having a little bit of extra every month going into savings, not as a college student, right? As an adult working a job. But it really has made a big difference. And we've actually gotten a couple cool vacations because we got serious about budgeting in our family.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Google Sheets person too. And it is definitely overwhelming at first, but there's honestly a lot of great templates that you can just look up on Google that will help you out. But
absolutely.
So beyond tuition, we've already touched on some little things already. What are some of the hidden or easy to overlook costs students should plan for in their college budget?
Yeah, we often forget about those extra living costs that, people also forget to put in their budget when making a college decision. So those personal expenses like toiletries, you're going to need to buy some deodorant and maybe you like really fancy expensive shampoo. I don't know. Even if you like the cheap shampoo, you still need it, right? Laundry, and that may be both detergent as well as the cost to use machines on campus. Even a haircut. Haircuts are expensive, Gage. They really add up. You're going to want food. So I kind of talked about groceries earlier. Some students, if you are living on campus, you'll likely have a meal plan where you're going to eat in a cafeteria, but you're still going to want snacks and you're still going to want to go out to eat every now and again. You also need to think about entertainment, going out with friends. And transportation, right? What do you need to spend on commuting costs? That could be locally, or if you have to travel home over break, do you have a long way to go? What's the gas look like, or a flight? And then I also tell students you need to be ready for the unexpected. What if there is a car repair or a medical need? Lots of things to think about.
Yeah, I remember I was a sophomore in college and the computer in my car decided to randomly go out one Saturday and a lot of money later we got it fixed. But
welcome to adulting. Those unexpected expenses. But you know what? When you have a little bit of an emergency fund and that comes up, it doesn't hit as hard when you're prepared.
So, Kristen, besides saving gift money, what are some other effective ways students and families can contribute to like a college savings fund, such as working part-time jobs or maybe getting some support from relatives?
Sure. Well, first, do save any funds from birthday and holiday gifts. And when you're making wish lists for your family, make sure to add that you want the funds to help pay for college. People are more likely to give you that when they know what your intentions are. And then, yeah, get a part time job. We actually have read information that students who work part time while going to college actually have better grades. Work part time versus full time. They have better grades than the people who work full time or don't work at all. There's something about the responsibility element, I think, Gage. And also, parents should really begin saving to help pay for a student's college costs. So, whoever's listening, students, parents, if you have not talked about this, it's time to have a conversation. How can you work as a whole family to really support saving and preparing to contribute to this college fund? I'm going to also add, this is not related to saving, but it's an important tip. Just get ready for future scholarships. I know students may have already been past that point, but I find that there can be more scholarship opportunities for college students. So get focused on your schoolwork, get involved in extracurriculars, be in contact with the financial aid office. You never know what new opportunities might come up.
Yeah, I was really surprised actually when I got into college and I realized that there's still like ongoing scholarship opportunities, even while you're in college. That was something I had no idea about.
Yeah, and some of them come up after you're a freshman. That that you have to be an upperclassman to even be eligible for some. So be in contact, be aware. You don't want to leave money on the table.
All right, Kristin, I have one final question for you. What's just your final advice you would give to students who want to turn today's gifts or earnings into tomorrow's college goals?
Well, it really isn't too late to start. Even if you're a 12th grader who's going to enter college in 9 months, buckle down. Get intentional about saving. It could really help cover the cost of books that first semester or more.
Okay. Well, that wraps us up. Thank you again, Kristin, for joining us.
Thank you.
And to our audience, if you ever need help with anything college related, you can contact an Education Quest office near you for free help. You can find our contact information or schedule an appointment at educationquest.org. While you are there, make sure to sign up for the weekly Countdown to College email that's filled with all sorts of college tips and tricks. And finally, just help us get this message out to as many students and families as possible by subscribing to this podcast on your favorite platform and hitting the like button on this episode. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you next week.